Hello, this recording is to give an overview of how to find particular books and particular journal articles, and in that, look at the range of resources that can be used to search for literature. Finding a book. Books are catalogued in book catalogues, and these appear and are available in different formats and different places. But the first place to look is the library book catalogue of the institution that you are registered with. This means that you can borrow the books from that institution, and you can also access any electronic books that they provide through that catalogue. If you were to find electronic books on the open web, it doesn't mean you're going to have access to them. You need always to look through your library catalogue in order to make sure you're getting access to the material that your institution has paid for. The second option is to go beyond the library book catalogue. And this is where you might consider something like the Library Hub Discover. So at this point, you would be thinking, I've exhausted all the books that are in the library catalogue, and I now want to see what other books exist on my topic. I'll click into the Library Hub Discover. You'll see here that this particular meta search covers 183 institutions. So that's 183 library catalogues that have been brought into one search interface. And when you find material here, while it may not be available in your library, it does mean that you've encountered material that you may ask your library to acquire for the shelves or in electronic format so that you can access it. Now, many official international organisations will make their publications available through their own web pages. They're mostly available online now and available for free. So the United Nations has a UN iLibrary. You have then other related agencies like UNICEF, the OECD, Europa and the EU Bookshop. And their business is to make sure that their publishing output is seen across the world. It's all freely available. And because of that, some of the material coming from these organisations is easier to find through Google. Now that's useful if you know which particular publication you need. So let's have a look at one of these. And all you need to ever search for is the title and the author's surname, or sometimes the title is enough, but only the surname of the author, not the first name, just the surname or family name. So here is an example of a book published by UNICEF, or a report published by UNICEF. And in order to find it, I can just go to Google and paste the title in. So let's do that. And you'll see here, there's the title, and it's coming from the correct place. Let me draw your attention further down. Here is the same publication, but it is not coming from UNICEF. So sometimes these publications can be downloaded and uploaded to another site just for convenience of where it would be found. Here's another example, and understandably, Save the Children would want to have a copy of this publication on their website. So make sure that you're selecting the publication from the correct domain. And here it is. It lets me download the entire file. Now, when I'm in the site of UNICEF, I can also, if I prefer, or in addition, search for that title. And when I click search, it brings me back all the results where those words were found. But you'll see it's not the same set of results. It didn't find the particular title that I needed. And that's because it found all the different words in different places in the catalogue. So if I want to find that particular publication, then I put speech marks around the main sections of the work, the title and the subtitle. And then when I click search, I find the publication. When you find international organisations that speak to your topic, then it's useful to bookmark those sites and then look at them over a period of weeks, etc., while you're doing research. Finding a journal article. Well, to do this, we need to select a resource which is going to provide good quality peer-reviewed journals. And an example here, first port of call, is with your library. Now, in this case, if we go to the Queen's Library again, you'll see we have an article search. So I can search for the title of an article and it will bring me to that article if Queen's is subscribing to the journal. The second option then is to select a free resource, because in addition to subscription resources which are peer-reviewed, containing peer-reviewed content, then we can also use some free resources which also carry good quality academic content. And there are a few examples of this. Here's an example of a particular article I would like to find. And there are two sources that I can use to find this. One is the DOAJ and the other is ERIC, and I'll list these for you in a while, but let's see how we would go about finding this particular journal article. My first port of call would always be to look in the library catalogue that I have a subscription or I have access to. And that's because the Journal of Social Studies Education Research, I don't know if that's free or if it's subscription. So I'm going to go to the library catalogue first. Your library catalogue may have this option. If it does not, then you can select the journal title and enter the journal title into the catalogue. So to search for the journal, we use the library catalogue. To search for an article, we use an article search if it is available. And there you will type in the title of that journal article. So it will go away and it will search, and it has found that particular publication. There is the full text. In fact, it has found it through two different sources, which I'd mentioned earlier, ERIC and the DOAJ. Now, if you don't have this option in your library catalogue, then the other thing you can do is go directly to a free resource. So you can go to DOAJ and you can search for that article. I can select that it's a title search, and there is the publication. I can read it online, and this is the document. I can download and I can print it off. I'm going to leave this article here for a little while. We'll come back to that. Because when I'm searching library catalogues, I'll just get rid of some of these. When we're searching library catalogues, we need to think about the keywords that we're going to use. And so there'll be a range of different resources that we might wish to put those keywords into. So let's suppose we don't know which particular article that we're interested in. These are some of the free open resources for everyone to access, and they all contain really good quality content. Core, DOAJ would tend to be used most. The others are very, very useful, and ERIC specifically concentrates on education. The open access button is also really useful for the legal research articles. Now, it wouldn't be worth carrying out a little recording like this without mentioning Google and Google Scholar. When we belong to academic institutions, we'll have access to a range of resources which are very, very rich and sometimes costly. But Google Scholar and Google have a place to play, but they're not the first port of call. They're only used in extreme circumstances when there are no other options. So if the other resources I just mentioned, the open research resources, don't provide you with what you need, then you might want to consider Google Scholar. But I would say this, Google Scholar won't give you full text to all the good quality content. And so again, you may need to go back to your library to seek more clarity on getting those materials. When we look at Google Scholar, and I'll carry out a little search here on Google Scholar. Let's have a look for articles about the rights of the child. When I click search here, it has gone off to find many, many, many articles. And the algorithm here is placing the most used, the most looked at the top. You'll see how often material has been cited. You'll see where it's coming from. You'll know that Convention on the Rights of the Child coming from UNICEF, a very good publication, free, key, critical work. But then as we move through the resources, we have to consider what it is we're actually looking at. And we can see all these works and we can see good sources, but we need to make sure that we are definitely using resources that we can rely on. So you would need to know that Sage Publications is an academic publisher. But the other thing that I note here, and you'll see commonly in Google, and understandably so, that we do get a lot of older material. And sometimes it's useful to look at the most recent. Now, the meta search engine that this is, the indexing that it does is sophisticated, but the metadata is not humanly indexed. It is not, the input is not human originated. So if I want to look at the most recent, let's keep an eye on this number and click sort by date. I want the most recent at the top, and I suddenly only have 942 results. This one, I cannot be sure that that's peer reviewed. This one, I cannot be sure that this is peer reviewed. And so we have to question what we're using through Google Scholar, because the word scholar does not equate to the meaning of peer review. I'll leave it there so we can make sure we have the context of all those resources, and so that when we're thinking about where to search, we may well want to make sure we dwell on these resources and those that fall inside the registration of our institutions.